My name is Clara Belafort. I am 32 years old, and I live in Riverside Junction. I have always been passionate about following regulations in my line of work, which is in a highly regulated field. I take pride in serving my community and ensuring that businesses uphold the standards that protect us all. My world, however, was turned upside down by a woman named Karen Dipshit, my former boss. Karen was not just a bad manager, she was a force of chaos. Her reckless decisions frequently put our clients at risk, and when I would try to speak up, I was met with indifference or outright hostility. Many of my days were spent worrying that I would lose my career simply for trying to do the right thing. I watched as she cut corners, made knee-jerk decisions, and skirted the regulations that I held dear. It was maddening. I felt like I was part of a sinking ship and Karen was at the helm, steering us toward disaster. After my third attempt to raise concerns about her dangerous practices, when I was told by the higher-ups, "This is the way it has always been done," I knew I had to leave. I did not want my name associated with the chaos. I bailated out of there. It was a big leap, but I found a job in a different state where I now enforce regulations, and my role even involves revoking licenses when businesses are egregious in their violations. I thought, while I might be free from Karen, I am sure karma would catch up with her eventually. Fast forward 5 years later, to a cold autumn morning. I was sipping my coffee when I received the call. Our enforcement team received a flood of consumer complaints about Karen's business. We would send all available personnel to her doorstep to conduct a review. Little did I know that I would soon be back in the lion's den. Each page I turned over during those 4 weeks felt like a small victory. As I combed through her records, I unearthed my old written complaints that I'd submitted to her boss years ago. My heart raced as I realized she had not changed at all. She still employed many of the same old tricks that put people at risk. The trying moments of the past came rushing back, but this time I had the upper hand. It was becoming clear. Karen's business was headed for a massive downfall, and I was the one who would make that happen. Even during all of this, I thought about how Karen once told me my career would be in jeopardy if I dared to challenge her. Now, here I was, preparing to hand down consequences for the very actions she had once wielded against me. I set out to train her staff properly, showing them how to follow regulations and help them understand the seriousness of compliance. It was surreal to witness their eagerness to learn, their gratitude lingering in the air like a sweet perfume. They could see the clouds hanging over their business. They were witnessing the implosion of an empire built on lies and shortcuts. Meanwhile, I reveled in the satisfaction that I was doing what I had once been denied, the chance to make things right for everyone involved. As I continued my work, the stakes began to grow higher. Karen did everything she could to fast-talk her way through the inspections, but it was clear as day that her tricks were no match for the evidence piling up in front of me. She had no idea that every smile she flashed and every excuse she made only tightened the noose of impending consequences. I faced hurdles, little speed bumps along the way. There were moments of hesitation when I thought maybe this was too much and I should just walk away. Perhaps it would be easier not to be the one to take her down. But every time I considered backing off, I thought of the people that Karen had turned into pawns in her game, the consumer complaints I had read about the dangerous practices, the lives that had been put at risk. I was not just doing this for my past self. I was doing it for all of them. Then came the day of the grand reveal. All the facts, all the evidence, culminated into a meeting where the outcome would finally land on Karen's shoulders. The air was thick with tension, and a small corner of my heart ached, not for her, but for the people who would be affected by her downfall. I stared her square in the eyes as I delivered the information gathered over those long weeks. The cold front of confidence she had wrapped around herself began to slip. The stern glare of her dismissive attitude faltered as my words sank in. I felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration flood my veins. This was my final effort, a moment I had been building to over years. I knew a lot was on the line, a career, my reputation, and most of all, the chance to finally right the wrongs that had haunted my work life. As we wrapped up the meeting, Karen shot me a look that could freeze hell over. I could see the gears turning in her head, the anger bubbling beneath her surface, but I also felt a strange sense of fulfillment. Her empire built on chaos was about to collapse, and I would be the one lighting the match. I had made my stand. As I left the meeting room, the weight of uncertainty lifted from my shoulders. Moments later, I learned her business license had been suspended due to her blatant disregard for the very regulations I had tried to uphold years ago. Karen, the woman who once sought to crush my spirit, had become my lesson in perseverance. In the months that followed, as I returned to my normal routine, I noticed a change in my life. I felt stronger, more confident. I had faced my fears and turned the tide of control back to the workers around me, the ones who deserved a fair shot. It was not revenge in the traditional sense, but a poetic justice that echoed throughout my journey. The story of Karen and her business circulated like wildfire in our industry, serving as a reminder that those who flourish in deceit will eventually meet their fate. I never intended for revenge to consume my life, but I found it had fueled my passion for ensuring justice for others. Sometimes, a cold dish of revenge can serve as a warm plate of righteousness when served correctly. The world spins differently now, and I embrace my new normal with gratitude and purpose as I continue to ensure businesses are held accountable.